the Iranians do next in terms of the nuclear program now? Because one thing I've been saying for a while is that there are only two options. You either do a deal or you invade and occupy the country. This bombing stuff does not work. You can bomb Fordo, but as you say, they can move the materials. They can move the scientists. We can flatten Iran, God help us all, in the United States, illegally and criminally, but they can just rebuild, right? This is all about timelines. All we're doing is delaying the inevitable. If we actually want to prevent them having nuclear weapons, there's a deal to be done. There's no bombing campaign that can end the nuclear, quote-unquote, threat from Iran.
The critical thing in what you just said is, if you want to prevent them from building a nuclear bomb, that has not been the objective from the Israeli side. The objective has been to create a scenario in which the United States and Israel are going to be in a constant effort to degrade Iran. What you're going to see now, and you're already seeing, is that the Mossad cells that have been set up inside of Iran, which, is really the success story from the Israeli side. It's not their bombing campaign. They're now going after Iranian scientists. They just killed one and his wife in Qom earlier today. So they're going to go after essentially the knowledge base. They're going to go after other things. They're supporting Kurdish separatists, Baluchi separatists, Arab separatists in different parts of Iran to foment unrest and civil war. This, by no means stretch of the imagination, is the end. And this is part of the reason why opposition to the war in the Iranian-American community and other places has been very much focused on the realization that there is no such thing as a clean story here. Once this starts, because of the fact that this is driven by geopolitical motivations and not because of non-proliferation concern at the root of it, this is just going to be the beginning, and we're going to see some very, very disturbing and destabilizing events going on.
A lot of people watching are making the point that...
All right, guys. A lot of developments happening in the Middle East, guys. A lot of developments. It is getting real... It's really getting real dangerous and messy. The idiotic president that we elected, who campaigned on no war, just took the bait from Netanyahu and bombed the Iranian nuclear facilities, which were essentially evacuated a week ago. All the centrifuges were removed. The labs are buried 800 meters below the ground, and the only damage reported via satellite images and other sources was the entry and exit of this facility. So, big L for Donald Trump. But this is even worse, guys, because, Trump's trying to paint it as like, okay, this is a one and done situation. I'm going to appease my donors that gave me $300 million, the Adelsons and all these other elite, financial elitist Zionist Jewish donors that stuffed his pockets, so he could pay back all his debt from all those lawsuits, guys, and all this other shit. So he's like, I'm going to appease them and do what they want me to do and attack Iran. And there's been reports coming out that they forewarned Iran, like, hey, we're going to attack. So now it's like, it begs the question, like, okay, why would Iran retaliate now? Like, that's the big question. Like, why would Iran retaliate, knowing damn well that they're going to get America involved, and then that could be a whole another quagmire. Everyone's strategically like, hey, focus on flattening Israel, Tel Aviv, right? That's the main adversary to Iran. What's the strategy here? Iran's saying, no, we're going to retaliate. And the Iranians never, they're very calculated with their decision making. So now it's like, okay, really no damage was done on Fordo. Trump took the bait, which I'm going to tell you why it's bait. Because now there's an excuse if certain individuals from a particular intelligence agency decides to false flag an event that will force airheaded, magatards and other warmongers to be like, yeah, it's time to go to war now, man. Boots on the ground and all. And just to further proof, guys, we have Signalgate, Pete Hegseth. So look at what this clown says. So he says, we believe that we have done what we have done will have a clear psychological impact on Iranians' outlook on the future. Psychological. I thought this was a military operation. Why would they be psychologically drained from you bombing their country from the last 50 to 60 to 70 years? I mean, you guys have been bombing the Middle East for years. I mean, they've been psychologically affected. Did you have any military or strategic impact with this bombing? Absolutely not, right? And so, a lot of people from MAGA are like, you know what? They're like burning their MAGA hats. They're like, yo, this guy's a liar. He's been bought and paid for, which we already know. And he was most likely on the Epstein files. Anyways, enough of bashing Trump. But, well, hold up. Before that, we're going to get into this situation here with, so him and Thomas Massie went back and forth, guys. He's been, Thomas Massie has been the only one really speaking out about the whole AIPAC situation. We remember what he said. They ended up essentially, we don't know for sure, guys, but I don't even want to say that, but something happened to him personally that people are still trying to figure out. Like someone around him died, for those that don't know. So that was a big eye opener there. So what happened there, right? So, anyways, Donald Trump makes a stupid Truth Social post. This guy's so stupid, man, and low IQ. Congressman Thomas Massie of Kentucky is not MAGA, even though he likes to say he is. Actually, MAGA doesn't want him, doesn't know him, and doesn't respect him. He's a negative force who almost always votes no matter how good something may be. He's a simple-minded grandstander who thinks it's good politics for Iran to have the highest level of nuclear weapon, while at the same time yelling death to America at every chance they get. Iran has killed and maimed thousands of Americans. They even took the American embassy in Tehran. Under the Carter administration, we had a spectacular military success yesterday, taking the bomb right out of their hands. We've already confirmed that's not true. He'll undoubtedly vote against the great, big, beautiful, even though non-passage means 68%. Far things worse. MAGA should drop this pathetic loser. Bum, 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 bum. He's doing his little ad hominem attacks. His little clownish fucking behavior. And it sounds like he's, Thomas Massie's getting to him because the whole MAGA base is like, this guy's a fucking liar, right? So, and I mean, So anyways, things got a little bit crazier, right? Because now we just got footage of the meeting between Russia and Putin and the Iranian foreign minister. Now, again, with Russians, guys, with the Russia situation, look, guys, Russia has, in my opinion, has never been really an ally of anybody, right? Russia's really never been an ally. I mean, they have strategic relationships, but Russia's going to do what they have to do and what's best for them, right? They're not really into having all these allies, and really, they don't really have many friends. I mean, not even with China, right? A lot of people forget that Russia and China had they had a very dark relationship in the past. So this whole, Russia's going to, involve themselves with the war going on in Iran. Again, it all depends on whether it strategically benefits Russia. We know that it does with China because Iran sells them a bunch of oil, right? 80% of China's oil comes from Iran. And they're bordering Iran. So do you think that, because see, part of the whole game with the Middle East is who's going to end up controlling the Middle East, because that's going to be like the middle ground between the West and the East, because the larger foe is China, right? China, North Korea, that whole alliance. So that's the larger foe to America and the West. So Israel's trying to tame the Middle East, along with the neocon conservative Zionists. They want to tame the Middle East so that way they have some leverage when it comes to confronting the China situation, because China's a monster, right? China is going to be a big deal to tackle that situation, because So they need the Middle East contained. Israel, essentially. They're using Israel as like a proxy, like, hey, contain this situation because we don't want China and Russia to get involved in the Middle East. Because if we lose the Middle East, you can kiss that petrodollar goodbye. The Middle East is really the breadbasket for a lot of these countries, guys, especially Europe with oil and stuff. So anyways, man, foreign minister and Russian President Putin had a meeting. So meeting was taking place during obviously a critical and important conditions for the region. Relations between Iran and Russia are very close and long-standing, and in recent years they have acquired a strategic character. So the level of tension in the region is currently increasing due to the unjustified aggression by the Israeli regime in the United States. These attacks are contrary to the UN Charter and international law. And the Islamic Republic of Iran is exercising legitimate defense in response to this aggression. So, essentially, Putin tells the foreign minister, that his position is clear, and essentially, the attacks that occurred where the U.S. attacked the nuclear facilities is an unjustifiable act of aggression. This came out of President Putin's mouth. So he condemned the Israeli strikes and the American strikes on the nuclear facilities. And he even stated that we are fighting, that the Iran and Russia are fighting the same enemy, which is the neocon warmongering deep state MIC financial elitist of the West, who have purchased our Congress and purchased Donald Trump's ass and blackmailed him, by the way. So that's what Putin stated. Now, as far as him, helping Iran, from a strategic standpoint, I feel like they, definitely, right? They're gonna definitely provide that. You guys got to remember they had a strategic military deal wherein they will be able to supply each other with different, because Iran, if they run out of missiles, Russia's definitely going to give them, is going to assist them in manufacturing more missiles, those ballistic missiles they're shooting in Israel. Those cost $200,000 a piece, and it's costing Israel $200 million to defend them, right? But then again, they're launching like 10 of them to confuse the air defense systems, and then like 2 of them will get in there and hit their targets. So they're losing 8 of them just, confusing the air defense system. So these missiles are, again, they don't have an unlimited amount of missiles. So that's really what I think it is. I think Putin is definitely going to help them and also most of the largest attacks that occurred in Ukraine were using the Iranian Shahed drones, which Iran manufactures for Russia, and Russia's been launching those into Ukraine and wreaking havoc, right? So they have that. Now, militarily, boots on the ground, that's all fairy tale land, right? Iran has over 100 million people, and they have like what, 1 million people plus in their army. So, they're not, their main concern is not running out of weapons, okay? Not running out of air defense systems, not running out of ballistic missiles, ICBMs, not running out of all that shit, drones. So that's their main issue. And with a really failing economy in Iran, they don't have unlimited funds and shit like Russia and America have, right? Like Russia's doing very well economically, regardless of what all the fake propaganda they're putting out there. Russia's killing it. And they're obviously winning the war with Ukraine. So there's definitely going to be some strategic, military relationship between Russia and Iran. Now, this is the only issue. I think Russia is going to get heavily involved only if America decides to get involved. Because again, all this shit is very complicated. Russia actually has a good relationship with Israel. Right? A lot of people don't know that. People think like, that, you know, Russia's fucking with Iran, so they must hate Israel too. Like, no. Okay, Russia, like 50% of Israelis are literally Russia. Like the second most spoken language in Israel is Russian, right? So they don't have a problem with Israel, right? So Iran's gonna have to go with Israel alone. But if America decides to get involved, that's an adversary to Russia, and that's also an adversary to China. What better way to weaken the American military, right, than to have them be fully invested in a stupid war in the Middle East, okay, that Israel started. To have the Americans fully invested in a war in the Middle East, like boots on the ground, spending trillions of dollars, China and Putin will be fucking ecstatic. They're like, dude, these fucking idiots fell for it again? They fell for Iraq again? Like, this is like Iraq times 3 now. These guys are fucking idiots. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. If I was China, I would wait until the U.S. is just drained from fighting a war in Iran, right? And then I'm going to be like, okay, let me take Taiwan, and there ain't nothing nobody could do about it. And so that's why everybody's screaming to the top of their lungs like, Trump, don't sell out, you fat piece of shit. Don't sell out to the Israel lobby, bro. You know, but shit. Looks like he's doing exactly what they want him to do. And that could be to the detriment of, you know, America. Right? Because if they pull off a retaliation, it could be something stupid. And as impulsive as Trump is, you know damn well it's going to be a tit for tat situation. If they retaliate and they attack a U.S. airbase, which by the way doesn't have the Iron Dome, doesn't have the David Sling, doesn't have the Arrow, doesn't have the THAAD, all these air defense missiles that we provide Israel with, if they attack one of those bases, you're talking about 10,000 lives at stake off of one ballistic missile. And you know, not to talk like I'm not even going to mention like, you know, and Iran doesn't even have to do it. That's the crazy part. It can be one of their proxies. All right? Or if they sink one of the warships. Or if there's a domestic false flag event, right? Oh shit! I heard some fucking moron today who calls himself a war analyst, or I don't know what he calls it. Like, some people should just like not even talk about anything, bro. Before he's like, oh, hey, you know, people from Al Qaeda were saying, that they're gonna start attacking different areas like they kind of did with 9/11 and all that shit. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, like, do they even know that Al Qaeda and Iran like don't even get along? They're not even on the same playing field. Like, they're theologically different, and that one is like funded by the CIA and the Mossad, and the one is like, so you don't know what the fuck's gonna happen, right? You'll have the entire American public, you know, as ignorant as they are with that type of situation, like, this was the false flag. Oh, it must be since Iran's on the news headlines, so it must be anything that happens now is Iran. You know? So, again, man, like real sticky situation. We're gonna have to see how it plays out. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment sections down below, man. Like, comment, subscribe. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. It only takes y'all a couple seconds. Anyways, peace.